But yeah, I like that setup. It also makes Kavoth a freaking liar. He's like, the Ademaru, we know all the stories in the world, but I don't know this story. Well, then you don't know all the stories in the world.
Well, I think more than a liar, it shows his arrogance, his cocksureness
No,
as being a swagger
he
cock.
is a liar, and he exposed himself.
Okay. I would stick with he's definitely arrogant about his background when it comes to things of that nature. Like, I know all the stories. I know all
I
the
know
songs.
every single story ever told. Every story you could possibly think to tell. I've heard it. I probably told it to you. I know them all. That's
I
how
probably
much I know.
created a bin on that story.
Oh, what's the story you're telling? I've never heard this story before. Go on, keep going. You just fucking said.
I would kind of dig that. Just throw that in there where Hespe just continuously kind of leers at Kavoth, like, "Oh,
Would you like to finish this?
Did you want to continue? Oh,
You
okay.
know this story because you know them all. So would you like to finish it?
Granted, give Kavoth credit. If he had a little more old Cobb in him, he would be like, "Oh, I know this story,"
yeah.
and then just make up a bunch of shit.
I would like to finish it. Oh, the Chronicler? Oh, I know the entire trilogy. I know the entire trilogy. Plus the 3 novellas on the side, know all of them too. Word for word. But yeah, so we get the story here, and so it's a classic and an important one. We get the first half in this chapter where we get once long ago and far from here, Hespa said as we sat around the fire after dinner, there was a boy named Jax, and he fell in love with the moon. Jax was a strange boy, a thoughtful boy, a lonely boy. He lived in an old house at the end of a broken road. Daydan interrupted. Did you say a broken road? I'm curious what the significance is of that. It seems like Rothfuss having Daydan interrupt, it makes it stick out.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it'll be something in the context of, Iax's motivation for creating the Fae and stealing the moon. And I think there will be some aspect of the broken road. I'm curious what that will be, but I think that this will be something when the third book is out and you go back through, you'll know what the broken road is referencing.
Yeah, I feel like it is. Yeah, it's something that eventually will be connected in the sense of it could be like a marker. I'm like picturing like Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's like a marker for a city or a town or a specific place where something significant is going to happen. It kind of it lends that feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's the center of something.
Yeah, it stands out though, but and it's obviously a lot of the story is, something like the house is obviously the Fae. The house that he builds is the Fae. And so in the Steel and the Moon is the story, is the story of the creation war, the beginning of the creation war starting, Steel and the Moon. So there's plenty of things that, Jax is Iax and all that kind of stuff. And then, this Tinker, well, like we've speculated that the Tinker he meets could be Skiop, who could also be Scarpy. And so there's a lot of things in the story that could be other things, but some of it is obviously not how it happened during their time. It's something that they've just made into a story. Similar to like when you hear the stories about old Cobb tells about Kvoth, how you can tell like the pieces aren't all together correctly. It was someone just created their own story out of it. I think someone's creating a story out of Iax and stealing the moon and starting the creation war. So there's a lot of pieces of it that aren't accurate, but they represent something. So I think that broken road is going to represent something that we won't be able, we'll know what it represents when the third book. I'd be surprised if it's nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it ends up being, some things are twist of what was originally part of the story or something that would be more of accuracy. but then they have a physical or some sort of representation of a piece of the story that actually does hold significance. So yeah, that was interesting what you mentioned there though too about, so say he created the Fae and that's like a house that doesn't fit together appropriately. When they talk about him as being an orphan and then possibly having a drop of fairy blood that kept his heart from ever knowing joy, part of me first off is thinking they just sort of vilify the Fae because they don't understand them. But then this idea that they don't know joy could also be just this idea of like how the Fae doesn't fit together like it's supposed to. It's like a house that doesn't fit together the way that it's supposed to. So it's all disconjointed and everything. It kind of puts a spin on that part of it. Cause my note was like, that's just them not showing a false understanding of the Fae, assuming that they don't know joy. Cause look at Bast. I mean, he's a very joyful individual. Right?
Well, I think it is probably represents Ix in that, you know, clearly there was something about him that he wanted to change things. He wanted things to be different. So he was in some way was unsatisfied with the current state of the world, where he created an entirely different world. He stole the moon, started a war. So he clearly had some desires to make changes. And so you know, and you know, we see it with Haliax, and he's obviously super fucking emo. So it wouldn't surprise me if Ix was in that same vein. Kavoth is a lot of Kavoth is in that like we see Coat now. It's a very depressed guy. So I think, you know, those three, Ix and Haliax and Kavoth as Coat, they all kind of represent a guy with a lot of fucking regrets and, you know, made mistakes. So it wouldn't surprise me that he would be described in that way.
So then this story is just taking that to an extreme because they're saying this kid never had joy.
Yeah.
Until he kisses
I think that's storybook. Yeah, I think that's turning in story. I mean, we don't know. I mean, you know, the guy.
You don't know how much is real. We don't know how much is fable. Yeah.
But that sounds storybook. That sounds like something you say in a story that's not an actual representation. Like very few people are sad 100% of the time. I don't think anybody really is. Even people that suffer from depression typically, you know, have peaks out of it.
Well, even just knowing that now he wants the moon, you would think that would make him happy. But this projects it as if it doesn't. Yeah. Because now that's what he needs. And until he can get it, he's not happy. He still doesn't smile until he kisses the moon. That's like, up until that point, that's the only time. So
just gives him something to drive at.
But even that's what I'm saying, though. Having something to drive at makes one satisfied to a degree, right? You don't stay depressed when you're driven for something.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's some people, I mean, you know, there are people that are very driven that are also depressed. It's kind of it's not a lot of people. Most people that are depressed are more likely to fucking lock themselves in their room and never come out. Than to be like fucking driving, you know, hard at something and fucking putting in tons of hours working on things. That's not typical.
Well, and a lot of times what that is then every failure back to depression, right? Even though you're trying, failure leads back into depression. But I mean, it is like you said, it's storybook, right? It gets your attention. This individual that's never happy and is constantly searching, and people are trying to help him. You know, that gets one's attention. It's very memorable.
And it's also weird that how she has to tell the story. Because, like, after he interrupts her, and then it's like, then she looked down at her hands, frowning, her mouth moved silently for a moment, then she nodded to herself and continued. Like, she has to tell the entire story, and it's almost like that the method of delivery for the song was some kind of, you know, hypnosis type of thing.
It seems like. So we've talked about this, how music has magic in it. It does seem like this story, again, it's rare, Not many people know it clearly, and she has to know it from beginning to end. And if she loses a place, she loses it completely. So it seems like it's either like a poem, a song where, but that's a really interesting thing to think about because, I mean, you could just twist it, right? You just do an old Cobb and just start to piece together, make it work. But it seems as if you can't, right? I mean, that's the impression we're getting from the way she's telling the story. She's not a perfectionist. She doesn't give a fuck about anything else in life. Like, for at least what we hear about her on the road.
It's not a long story. Yeah. It's not that complicated. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, what are you talking about? Why would you have to fucking tell it in a specific order? It seems weird. It seems like a weird little nugget. I mean, it could just be it's just a weird oddity about her. But
I think that lends more significance to the story. I think that tells you that the details are extraordinarily important.
Yeah.
And that for whatever reason, like it's trance-like, right? So to be able to tell the story, then you have to be able to like go fully through it and everything, it's interesting too, coming from her, right? To have it from a character such as her. If this was Skiop, it'd be totally, it's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that part stands out. But then, as we get back into it, everyone who saw Jax could tell there was something different about him. He didn't play, he didn't run around getting into trouble, and he never laughed. And then he's like, some folks said, what can you expect of a boy who lives alone in a broken house at the end of a broken road? Some said the problem was that he never had any parents. Some said he had a drop of fairy blood in him, and that he kept his heart from ever knowing joy. So the fairy blood stands out as something that is associated with people like Kavo and Elodin and people that have a strange resonance to their voice. Like you see it with Florian when she comes into the story, like the way she looks at Kavo. He mentions like it's very similar to Kavo or to Elodin, makes him feel like that, and so it seems that. And also, too, that's gives you an inclination, like, Ix is the one that created the Fae, largely. And so, with the Shapers, they created the Fae, so he has a drop of fairy blood in him. It shows you, like, how this is a story that has been created from pieces of the truth. Because it's not that he had a drop of fairy blood in him, he created the Fae. He was a Ruach that created the Fae. So, he's not just as a drop of fairy blood. He's the creator of the Fae, of fairies. They don't exist without his creation.
So, I mean, basically he's full-blooded.
Yeah.
What it come down to, right?
Yeah, he's basically the god in that sense.
Yeah, so then in that sense, it's living or growing up in that place gives someone these oddities.
Yeah, that's kind of how I view the Fae, is because like when Kavoth comes out of it, like that girl mentions, like, look at it, his eyes, he looks Fae around the eyes, and he had that weird laugh and those kind of things, and he fought differently, and he he felt different, and he acted different, and he looked different. And so I think there's something that if you're in the Fae for a long time, it changes you. You become a Fae creature or something like that. I think that's part of the creation of the Fae, is the reason, they're not human or Ruach anymore and they're Fae is because of the Fae. It changed them fundamentally. I think that's likely, why they're so different. That world is so different. I think it fundamentally changes you when you're there.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept, and it's clearly, it's clearly evident in the books. That influence. We get it in a really great way when Kavoth comes out, because he slowly kind of loses it. Right, but it's definitely evident initially, and people see it in him, and he feels the difference. Yeah, it's really funny. Well, and you could experience just in the effect of he's not used to wearing clothes. I mean, that's a different aspect of it, but that in itself, lends more towards picturing how different it is, but he's different mentally and like emotionally and psychologically.
Yeah, and we also get that he was an unlucky boy. There was no denying that. When he got a new shirt, he would tear a hole in it. If you gave him a sweet, he would drop it in the road. So unlucky, holes in shirt, which are both reminiscent of Kavoth's life, and as well as the lackless family is described as the luckless, and this kid is an unlucky boy. So those tie him towards the lackless family loosely, but they do. I think there's when he gets the box, that significantly ties him towards being the OG lackless. One with that box. I think that significantly ties him towards them. But
yeah, well, and the hole in the shirt. I mean, that's huge towards Kavoth. I mean, that's a huge suggestion, right?
Yeah. I mean, because if it wasn't for the fact that it's such a significant part of both books that this dude's always fucking up his shirts and how much he fixates on it, then if there wasn't that aspect in the books, then this line wouldn't stand out. But the fact that it's exactly like Kavoth and, all the other aspects as far as genealogy and how things tie back to the past, it stands out when something ties to Kavoth from the past because of how much the story seems to be a, kind of a retelling of the same kind of tragedies keep happening and shit like that.
Yeah, and I think that I mean, it's intentional on Rothfuss's part that he would tear a hole in the shirt. He's presenting to people to make the connections, if they're reading carefully enough. Because in that sense, you don't have to be that careful. I mean, I even made that connection first time through because of how many times we get that. Yeah. And the suggestion when he's a kid and his dad mentions it and how they're always sewing it up. I mean, it's just, it's reiterated so much that you don't have to be reading that carefully to make that, at least that initial connection. He gives you those hints, where it's like, well, there's more here.
Yeah.
If you're willing to make the effort, there's more here,
Yeah, it's definitely it's noticeable. And then you also get, some said the boy was born under a bad star, that he was cursed, that he had a demon riding his shadow. Other folks simply felt bad for him, but not so bad that they cared to help. The demon riding his shadow, it seems like that's might be significance considering Haliax and how that, if you look at the first part of that word, that name, Hal in Latin means breath, and so as Haliax can easily be interpreted as breath of Iax, and then there's a demon riding his shadow, and so I'm curious, if Iax has some part to play in why Haliax becomes Iax. I mean, Lanre becomes Haliax.
I mean, that description, demon riding his shadow, that's a way of describing what he looks like what he physically becomes.
Yeah.
Right? Or as Fitz called it, he basically has shadow dripping off him like he got hit with an egg.
Yeah, he got yolk on his face. Oh, man, I got yolk on my face.
Dripping like yolk. I just thought when he said that, I'm like, that's such a weird interpretation to say the yolk. Like he's carrying it.
He's all yoked out with yolk dripping down his face. Oh man, talk about that would make you depressed. You spend all that time working on your body, just get jacked. You're just ripped, super yoked. And then your entire body is like a shadow that no one can see. And you're not
so you didn't do it.
You're not able to show.
You did it.
Yeah, you want to show that off. Even if you're doing it for the health, you still want people to see that. Fucking look at this creation
everyone
made with my body. And he can't show it off. No one can see him.
Fucking billboard.
It's like you don't understand. He's always walking around with his shirt pulled up, and just hoping someone mentions his ab, but no one can see him.
This is why he has the holes in his shirts.
Yeah.
Right? He's walking around with holes in his shirts.
Haliax is the one that's yoked up.
So probably a lot of dick root too, right?
Oh hell yeah! He especially he's got that V fucking fucking shape with his under his abs. He's got that fucking V line.
So he's wearing V-neck shorts, but he's also bumping his calves, right? Showing the calf muscles.
No one
basically wearing
like man, that would make you depressed. No one comments on it ever.
So he's just walking around. That's why he's mad. That's why. That's
why
the real
reason
reason
in the world.
No
he did all that work and it's for nothing.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it has nothing to do with Lyra.
Talk about glamour muscles, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh man! And then so we get one day a tinker came down the road to Jack's house. This was something of a surprise because the road was broken, so nobody ever used it. Hoy there, boy! The tinker shouted, leaning on his stick. Can you give an old man a drink? So he's got a stick, and that ties in with Skiop. Skiop is also when he's walking through the Feyreneal. When Skiop was walking through Feyreneal, he's got a stick as well. So that is one of those clues that kind of ties the tinker, and the fact that is like when they mention Skiop, it's like he had no hat for his head and no pack for his back, and so it's the same kind of description of what this tinker ends up being. Like he loses his hat, he loses his packs, and he's just got a walking stick.
Yeah, and that's also that was always an interesting thing to point out. Why point out someone's not wearing a hat?
Yeah.
And doesn't have a pack for their back.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I don't typically walk around with a pack for my back.
And he blows the doors off the Ademaru with a story they've never heard. And this is a story Kavo has never heard. So these things all tie well together to the point where it ties so well together. I would be surprised if Rothfuss didn't go that route.
I think though he didn't really blow the doors off. He blew their nips off.
Oh,
if I remember right.
Yeah.
Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, they're nipless. Kavoth is the bloodless. That root troop was always known as the nipless after that story was told.
But he does do what is supposed to be done, which is he helps out the tinker. He gives the tinker a drink.
And then pisses him off, which you are not supposed to do.
Yeah, he wrongs him in a big, big way.
But you don't look happy, son. What's the matter? Nothing is the matter, Jack said. It seems to me a person needs something to be happy about, and I don't have any such thing. It's like, well, you sound like a very pleasant person. I will be on my way now. That is what the tinker should have said at that point.
Yeah, that is a rough one.
Yeah. Someone introduced himself like that. I guarantee you that conversation is not going down a fun path. And unless you're trying to fix the person, probably should move it on. Keep it moving.
His statement is like literally fishing for, like, can you fix me?
Yeah.
like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, and then
I wasn't ready for that. I was just engaging in pleasantries, bro.
And then they make an intense bet with, like, find something that will make me happy, or I get all your shit, everything you own.
Man, that is the biggest honor code bet, system bet of all time.
Yeah,
like,
there's no way I'm making that bet. Like, there's like happiness.
It's all up to you.
Yeah,
100% up to you.
I guarantee you, if I'm Jax, there is nothing in that pack that will make me happy. But I want it all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange bet for the tinker to make. That is definitely his judgment's a little flawed. I would say.
It's a terrible, terrible bet. And maybe Ajax or Jax is very honorable, and he would have told the truth, but. Seems like a stupid bet. I don't think I would have made it.
Well, I will say the tinker is very honorable because he sticks to it, but man.
Yeah, tinker definitely is.
Holy shit.
But yeah, and then now the tinker was fond of a wager, and he knew a good bet when he heard one, which is hilarious. This is such a terrible bet. He knew a good bet when he heard one. No, you clearly don't, because you made a horrible bet.
Well, and not only that, man, the introduction was made.
Yeah.
It seems to me a person needs something to be happy about. I don't have any such thing. Yeah. Oh, well, I got you covered.
Yeah.
This super depressed individual.
Bro.
I got spectacles. He hasn't seen my spectacles. He's going to love this shit.
Yeah. and it's like the very first second you're meeting this person, and you just, you're trusting that they're an honest person, and that they're going to give you an honest appraisal on whether you're able to make them happy or not.
Yeah, perhaps the tinkers being, almost like kowtowed to throughout, their existence builds up let's say a skewed scope of confidence in their fellow man.
Yeah. But so he starts bringing out his gifts. He brings out a ball and cup, which I love because Martin is immediately like, ball and cup doesn't make anyone happy. It's the worst toy ever. Nobody in their right mind enjoys ball and cup.
So Martin sucks real bad at ball and cup. And my guess is he had two brothers or friends growing up who were killers at ball and cup. So he fucking hates it.
He is always losing bets in ball and cup. Losing all his candy to his brothers.
That cracked me up. It's like, man, he really hates ball and cup. He must really suck at it.
Fucking stupid game. Fucking hate that game. Yeah, it's not that fun, but it's not that bad. But yeah, and then a book of secrets and a piece of iron that fell from the sky. The piece of iron is likely the, sky iron, the
lodestone.
Yeah, lodestone. And then a book of secrets. There's the talk of Kavo, learning from a book of secrets, and Ari's got a book that's never been opened. And so curious if that's going to end up being something that when we will know what the book of secrets is down the line. But
these two mentionings, man, this couldn't be more of a story for Kavo.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, It's like this was catered to him. If he wasn't listening, he is now.
Yeah. He's like, hold on, go back to that book of secrets.
He's all about it.
Can you have him open that book of secrets and read it out to us and tell us, is there anything in there about the Emir or the Chandrian?
Yeah. How much control do you have over the story?
Then it was like this went on all day and late into the night, and eventually the tinker began to worry. He wasn't worried about losing his stick, but his packs were how he made his living. He was rather fond of his hat. Andy was rather fond of his hat. Just as the tinker was reaching for his third bag, Jack pointed, "What is that?" "Those are spectacles." So he gives him his glasses, and he looks up at the moon, and he's like, "That is what I want." He's like, great.
So
there you go. I got it. He's like, no. Yeah. I want what I'm looking at, not these stupid things.
So a couple things. One, a third time pays for all, like typical in these books. So the third pack with 3 things. We keep getting all these 3s. But Jax, man, he's got some broken ass vision, man. Like,
yeah, he can't see the moon.
He didn't know what stars were. This dude's blind as shit, dude. Yeah. Like, it's nearsighted as fuck. Like, he puts on glasses, like, what are those? Stars? You remember what? And he's like, the moon? What?
Looks at the tinker, and he's like, what the fuck? Your face. Like, I thought it was like everybody's not a big blur.
you have
distinct featings,
but you have an face. But your nose is wrong. Which is weird,
but you have a wrong nose. Reminds me
it's weird that I know that.
Reminds me of some guy like Dalinar. Used to hang out with. Like a bit of a lush. Got drunk all the time.
But for real though, man, he's with some broke ass vision.
Yeah.
I mean, I was quite surprised that he's like, wait, what are these? Like, wait, I forgot that part of the story where it's like he needed spectacles to even see the moon. Holy shit.
Yeah, and I love the only the moon will do. His first time he's seen this, and now he's like, only the moon will do. And it's like, this is the guy you made a bet with on happiness, and like that's the only thing that'll make me happy is if I have the moon. Like you mean like this thing that's like fucking like looks like a mini planet? That's what you have to have?
I love it. I mean, it's very interesting how the story goes, because in a rational situation, it would very much be like, dude, no, what are you kidding me? Like, I got all these things, and you want something that? No one gets to.
It's a thing that has like its own atmosphere. It's its own thing. You can't have it. What are we talking about? Like in the you know, the Tinker doesn't point any of these things out. He's just like, oh, well, I could have told you how to get it. It's like, so we're all being ridiculous. We're just going to be all fucking stupid in this story.
By the way, Dan, you'll love this. Do you know what this is an homage to?
The boy in the cradle with the silver spoon?
Nope. Your favorite movie, It's a Wonderful Life.
No, Jesus.
Again, George lassos the moon.
Sounds real fucking stupid.
Yeah,
he literally lassos the moon.
No, he asks Mary what she would like, and then he offers the moon, and she says, "I'll take it," and then he says he'll lasso it, and then she says, "What would happen then?" And he says, "You'll swallow it, and it'll dissolve, and then you have moonbeams coming out of your eyes and hair and
kind of freak
fingers and toes."
I told you this movie is stupid. I do not regret not watching this stupid movie.
No, you need to see it. Terrible. He's homaging it like crazy throughout these books.
No,
dude.
That would not happen. The moon would smash her. For one, it would kill her.
You don't think she can swallow it?
It would kill all of them. If he pulled the moon onto them, they're all dead. It's horrific. Going to be a horrific scene. You're going to kill so many people.
So now I kind of want to see this. I like the idea that he like, and again, all in good spirit, pulls it, and he's smiling ear to ear. He's like, "Look, Mary, look!" And he's pulling it, and then everybody just
turns it into like a flaming ball. Smashes down, cracks the earth.
It's for Mary. It's for Mary.
I did it. He cracks the earth. Everybody's dead. Like, way to go, fucking old Jimmy, whatever you're George.
Yeah,
George. Smooth move, George.
Smooth move?
Yeah.
Is that where that came from?
Yeah, smooth move, George McFly.
It's not McFly. I don't remember his I can't remember his last name.
Yeah, terrible movie. Sounds horrible. I could have made it better.
Classic.
If he actually did destroy the Earth, pulling the moon down onto it.
I would like to see that sort of whatever you would call it.
Yeah, it would be a twist. It would be a twist ending.
Let's reboot. It's a Wonderful Life.
Are you real? Now you're telling me, just to make sure, you're saying you literally want the moon. Okay.
I love the idea of doing a reboot, and the same tone, tenor, and everything, black and white, up to that point. And then at that point, it completely shifts. Yeah. It's like From Dusk Till Dawn. It just completely shifts into like apocalyptic.
Yeah. Like everybody's trying to stop him as he's like pulling it. And he's like red-faced and like straining real hard. And everybody's like, "What are you doing? Stop it. Fucking up the orbit."
I love it. I love the idea that like, and then it's like the entire world.
Mary asked for this. This is what you wanted, Mary.
There's a new movie with like DiCaprio and fucking Jonah Hill's in it, and about like the end of the world, right? It's like they find a comet. So I like It's that movie meets It's a Wonderful Life. It's a bunch of scientists are trying to warn everybody that this guy's going to kill us all, but no one actually has the balls to stop him because he's in love. It's like a warped love story.
Yeah, that'd be classic. Hit us up, Hollywood.
Hit us up.
Mr. Hollywood,
We got what you
give me
need.
a call.
I think Weinstein was Mr. Hollywood, so I
Yeah.
don't think he's around much anymore.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hollywood Jr.
He's just his brother, actually, so he's got you.
But yeah, and then he loses, the Tinker loses the bet, and so he has to give him his packs and his hat and his stick and everything.
Well, and then but he has. I don't suppose the Tinker said reluctantly that you'd mind leaving me with my hat. I'm rather fond of it. And then Jax immediately cuts him off. It's mine by right. If you were fond of it, you shouldn't have gambled it away. And the Tinker gets fucking pissed. What's up with this hat? Like, I mean, how do you picture the hat? Is it a Kangol hat? Is it
I picture like a big ass straw hat that gives you like some shade over your face.
So like a Panama Jack?
Yeah, because
style.
like you're walking around outside, you're a traveling tradesman who's outside all the time. You'd want a big face covering hat. And so, yeah, I would be, and especially like if you're like, you know, a bald old dude and shit, and they're taking away your protection from the sun, like that'd be that'd tick me off a little bit.
There could also be, I mean, everybody he's met on the road doesn't know he's bald.
Yeah.
So now he doesn't want to be outed. It's also that.
And he had, before, because he had the hat, he had like smooth, oiled up head. Now he's got a big fucking ashy head. And kind of like, it's like, Master Ash's ashy elbows, and he's got an ashy head. So yeah, that would piss me off too.
All about the buttered elbows, and heads, and oils.
Yeah.
I was thinking though, man, what other hats do we know about in the story? Imperial
Poontang's hat, yeah.
So maybe this is, maybe there's a connection there.
He's
wearing Imperial's
he gave
vagina.
away. Yeah, that's what it is. He's wearing, literally wearing Imperial's Poontang on his head. Stupid.
So is that like a sock hat? Like what is that?
Yeah.
It's not like a stovetop hat. It'd be like a sock hat, right?
Yeah, it's better to left to the imagination.
Well, I was thinking whenever actors get really big, every single one of them at some point wears like a hat that is just a sock that holds way too much hair on their head. I'm picturing that.
A sock down their head? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you call these things. It's just like literally just a thing holding a bunch of hair. I don't know how else to describe it. There's got to be a name for it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so he gives him, and here's my stick, a good sturdy one it is too. And, so yeah, he keeps the hat, what a douchebag move. Like, yeah, you just took everything, you can't even let him keep his hat. No, shouldn't have gambled it away. Oh, thanks, Dad.
First of all, and that's the other thing is he doesn't even like any of these things.
Yeah.
Like, or at least he's not impressed by them. They didn't make him happy, but he's still like, no, I need all of it.
Yeah.
I need every single piece. I need all of it.
Yeah. Oh, that belly button lint. I'm going to need that too.
I was going to say, why didn't you leave him nude? Take all his clothes too.
Yeah. But then, so Tempe sighs, which point, Tempe made a low noise in his throat and shook his head. Hespa smiled and nodded. Apparently, even the Adim know it's bad luck to be rude to a Tinker. This is also one of the reasons why some people think that the Tinker might represent the Cathay. I think the second character Jax runs into mirrors the Cathay much better. But some people think that this is the story of Ajax pissing off the Cathay, and the Cathay got back at him by sending him down a path that, would lead to him stealing the moon, causing the creation war. So because the reason they tie this together is because Bast says, Iax spoke to the Cathay before he stole the moon. And so it could, the rationale would be that Iax pissed off this guy who is the Cathay, and then because he pissed him off, Iax gave him the glass, or the Cathay gave him the glasses so he would, because he knew he would look up, see the moon, and he would go. He knows all possible futures, so he knows that once he looks up at the moon, he's going to want to fucking take it. So you could see how someone could tie that together and make this character the Cathay. I think the fact that there's the second character fits very well with the Cathay, and this character fits so well with Skiop, and and Skiop fits so well with Scarpy that I think it's more likely that scenario than this character is the Cathay.
Well, and the hermit tells him, well, basically plants the seed of take her name, get her name. Right? Yeah, he doesn't say that, but he plants that seed.
And he's I mean, he fits in the second character fits the Cathay so well in so many ways.
It's also he's not traveling, right? He's in this cave, and that's where he stays because he can hear all things and blah blah blah. Yeah,
there's
those
a bunch
descriptions.
Of things. Yeah, and so, but that's one of the reasons. And then, I will leave you with the broken house. And then he's like, he walked all night, only stopping when she went out of sight behind the mountains. So Jack walked day after day, endlessly searching. That's when Dan jumps in and starts talking shit like, wonder what that's like, endlessly searching. So him and Hespa start getting into it, and then Kavoth jumps in, and you get the, Hespa's eyes flash, and despite my better judgment, I decided to jump in. Fine, I interrupted, looking at Daydan. If you got a better idea for finding these folk, let's hear it. Let's talk it over like adults. My interjection didn't slow Daydan down the least bit. It just pointed him in my direction. What would you know about adults, he said. I'm sick and tired of being talked down to by some boy who probably doesn't even have hair on his balls yet. And Kavoth, I'm sure if the mayor had known how hairy your balls were, he would have put you in charge, I said with what I hoped was infuriating calmness. Unfortunately, it seems he missed that fact and decided on me instead. Daydan drew a breath, but Tempe broke in before he could start. Balls, Daydan said curiously. What is balls? All the air went out of Daydan in a rush, and he turned to look at Tempe, half irritated, half amused. The big mercenary chuckled and made a very clear motion between his legs with a cupped hand. Balls. Big, juicy plums. He said without a trace of self-consciousness. Fucking classic line. And he's like, Tempe said, nodding to show his understanding. Why is the mayor looking at hairy balls? A pause, and then a storm of laughter rolled through our camp, exploding and, getting rid of all the tension in the air.
Yeah, that's so funny, man. It's so great.
Yeah.
Where they're basically falling on the floor, rolling around, laughing.
Yeah, that's a genuinely hilarious moment in the story. Like, you get it kind of back to back because you get the boy with the ass who fell off, and then you get fucking Tempe in here with the fucking hairy balls line, which is fucking just hilarious. Yeah.
The mayor's literally like having dudes walk through a room and staring at her nuts.
Such kind of shit we would say. Like, I don't get this. Why is he looking at hairy balls? Why is he using hairy balls to make his decisions? This seems like a terrible way to choose who's in charge.
He's got like some type of scale, like a
lob them out, boys.
Or some type of apparatus that measures the hairiness.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, not bad.
What kind of what kind of hairdos can you do with that? But yeah, so that released all the tension, and then Daydan promises to cool it the next time, and she'll finish the story the next time, which we get in 2 chapters. All right, so chapter 88 is titled Listening, and in this chapter we get the second half of the Jack stealing the moon story.
Yeah. concludes the that story, right? It's kind of a it's just like what you'd expect happens in a story of a boy.
Yeah.
Searching for answers.
It's basically the story all of us have lived.
Yeah.
Go out, you chase down the moon, you catch it, and you steal it.
Well, and it was interesting that they had a nice little time, as one would expect. And actually, I think this is Rothfuss is really sly with his sneaky little promotions, right? And this advertisement for wild turkey, where Tempe and I returned to find the camp surprisingly cheerful. Well, why is it so cheerful? Well, whenever there's wild turkey involved, it's a good time between friends.
Wild turkey? Oh, the liquor?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dan
yeah.
and Hespe were smiling at each other, and Martin had managed to shoot a wild turkey for dinner. So, you like the ad? You like the ad read I just put in?
You did.
That? It's pretty good.
But we're more of a Jack in the Box podcast.
I don't think they compete.
They're very competitive.
I like the idea of a cross promotion, right? Jack in the Box puts wild turkey on the menu.
Yeah. Get your cheeseburger and your tacos and I don't even know what they serve at Jack in the Box, honestly.
I honestly don't either. I was going to say cinnamon twist, and I'm like, wait, that's Taco Bell.
It's like, are they the place that has like the Mexican food and like American food? Like,
I think they do actually do tacos. I can't remember the last time I had Jack in the Box, but it's always safe to say hamburgers, fries. That's every fucking fast food joint outside of Taco Bell, basically. And I think they also, I think they have tacos and maybe chicken sandwiches. Fuck, I don't know.
Fish.
Yeah, throw some wild turkey. Throw some wild turkey on that menu.
Bangers,
you know what?
Bangers and mash.
Yeah, fast food bangers and mash. I would say, and not even just wild turkey whiskey, and actual broiled wild turkey. Throw that on the menu.
Gross. Broiled.
Not a lot of places out there. I can't think of a single fast food place that serves turkey. There you go.
Turkey is not outside of
the market.
Thanksgiving is not a very popular. It's a sandwich meat. Like people
Deli
don't
meat,
go to restaurants and order turkey. It's not a high quality, tasty meat. Outside of if you just want like a little sandwich or something.
I probably eat deli meat turkey 5 days a week, but I eat it at home.
It's a sandwich. Like you're not going. Do you ever go to a restaurant and be like, "Yo, you guys got turkey sandwiches?"
I don't think I'm trying to think of an example where I ordered turkey.
Have you ever ordered turkey at a restaurant?
I've done the they have like a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, outside of that, have you ever ordered turkey at a restaurant? Like you got all the choices for any meat you want.
Earl of Sandwich, and that's what it was. It was like the holiday something. I can't remember what they called it, but yeah, it was basically Thanksgiving.
It's a sandwich place.
Sandwich. I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm giving you the only example I have, not on like of recent, but yeah, I can't think of any other. Probably serves a fucking. I like the idea though. Go to a restaurant and be like, "Do you guys serve full turkey?" Because there's like 8 of us. I want a full turkey. You guys don't do full turkey?
Just for myself. I would like a whole turkey, whole ass turkey.
I think what you need to do is you need to ask and then be
I would like
very ridiculously
3
surprised.
turduckens.
Yeah. I think you need to order that and then be extraordinarily flabbergasted when they say they don't have it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What is this place? Is this America? I thought we were in America.
You don't have turducken on the menu?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. You know what? As a matter of fact, I want turducken, but I want all of it inside of an alligator. How about that?
Yeah. But yeah, so they eat and joke like us, and Dedan miraculously keeps his mouth shut, and Hespa tells her story. So Jax had no trouble following the moon because in those days the moon was always full. So that's setting the stage for the moon didn't used to go in and out of the Fae and their world because it was only one world. There was no Fae. And so this
That
is a
makes
time
this-
before the Fae.
Yeah, that suddenly this story became super fucking old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very old. And I mean, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be very, very old, but it is the information, the time period of the story is very, very old.
Well, I would say, yeah, that and it just became a very different story in
Yeah.
that instant. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, just as his strength was failing, Jax climbed over a rise and found an old man sitting in the mouth of a cave. He had a long gray beard and a long gray robe. He had no hair on the top of his head or shoes on the bottom of his feet. His eyes were open and his mouth was closed. This is possibly the Cathay. I don't think this is actually like a description of what the Cathay looks like. I tend to think of him more as like a serpent type of creature than a human living in a tree. I think of him more as a creature living in a tree, but I think
right?
there's a lot of things about this description of this hermit in the cave that resemble the Cathay. And you get, as you will, but what are you doing here so far from everything? He said, I found this cave when I was out chasing the wind, the old man said. I decided to stay because this place is perfect for what I do. He's like, and what is that? I'm a listener, the old man said. I listen to things and see what they have to say. Sounds very much like the Cathay.
That also one of the things that reminded me of was the Hall of the Wind. Their questioning hall, what they like to call it. Reminded me of that instantaneously when I heard that. The other the other part that I know this is a hotly debated question, but the Cathay is a tree, right?
No.
You like that one, right?
Nope. He's definitely not a tree.
It's something in a tree.
It's one of those things that kills me, like that people think that he's a tree because he specifically and explicitly, and the only time we see him, says, Kavoth's like, I've never spoken to a tree. And he's like, I am no more a tree than a man is a chair.
Yeah. Yeah, it still gets debated.
Yeah.
Which is pretty funny.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've even, like, I had someone online, they said that, and I said, he's not the tree, he lives in the tree. And he's like, well, I think that's up for interpretation. And it's like, no. It's like, not, it said explicitly in the books, but also Rothfuss has came out and said, the Cathay is not a tree, he lives in the tree. And he said it explicitly. And then the guy was arguing with me, and then like somehow it came across like Rothfuss, because like all of a sudden, like just one day out of nowhere, I just like all of a sudden got blown up with a bunch of notifications. And it was because Rothfuss chimed in and was like, he is not a tree. He's, lives in a tree.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's like, see, I sent you the video clip of him saying it, but here's the man live telling you that you're wrong.
I really would love it if that dude goes, well, it's up to interpretation.
Yeah. Well, you don't know your books. Who are you? I don't even like your books anyways. You're a dumbass.
You don't know what's in the subtext. Like he already admitted he doesn't know what a theme is. So
granted, theme. I could see him going that route because, Rothfuss doesn't know all the things we know.
Yeah.
Not even most of them.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to pronounce Loden. He doesn't know how to pronounce.
He's not talked about ashy elbows once, Jack in the Box. Like, he doesn't bring these things up when he talks about the series, and they're extremely pivotal.
Well, and a lot of these things, though, again, are for the careful reader that really delves into the subtext.
The guys that
of what's going on
took what Rothfuss did and took it to a whole new place, made it pop, made it sizzle. Just really ramped things up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
He goes, what brings you out to my little corner of the sky? I'm trying to find the moon. That's easy enough, the old man said, gesturing to the sky. We see her most every night, weather permitting. No, I'm trying to catch her. If I could be with her, I think I could be happy. And the old dangerous thing of, thinking the next thing is going to make you happy and the next accomplishment instead of embracing the journey. He thinks that this next thing, if I can just do this next thing, then I will be happy.
Not of the
not if that's your mentality. You will not.
Not of the Lethani, right?
No, that is definitely not of the Lethani. But the old man closed his eyes for a moment, then nodded to himself. I can hear it in your voice. This is no passing fancy, he says. He leaned close and pressed his ear to Jack's chest. He closed his eyes for another long moment and was very still. Oh, he said softly, how sad. Your heart is broken. You've never even had a chance to use it. And he's like, if you don't mind my asking, Jack said, what's your name? I don't mind you asking, the old man said, so long as you don't mind me telling. If you had my name, I'd be under your power. If you don't mind me not telling. If you had my name, I'd be under your power, wouldn't I? And so you get this guy's a very intense listener to the point where he hears Jack's past, listening to his heart. He hears the things from his pack. It sounds very much like a clairvoyant type of power that this guy has, which obviously that's what the cath's power is. That's why I think he aligns closer to the cath than the first character, even though you could see both of them in their own way sent him on a path to steal the moon. I think this character is more directly involved in. He helps him catch the moon. He gives him the information that he needed to catch the moon.
Yeah, he gives him the main tool, the main concept and idea that leverages everything.
Yeah. Sends him on a path to creating the Fae and catching the moon. That seems more like something the Cathay would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and he's, you get that the way they describe it, he's like, would you? Jax asked. Of course, the old man frowned. That is the way of things. Though you don't seem to be much for listening, it's best to be careful. If you managed to catch hold of even just a piece of my name, you'd have all manner of power over me. Which is obviously it's a story, and it's a very storybook way, of saying this, but there is some truth to it. Like that we see what Kavoth is able to do with Valerian. If someone is able to learn your true name and is able to speak it, they could kill you. They could completely control you.
And we have a Loden's whole back and forth about the name, about thinking Kavoth changed his name or Fella changed her name. So I mean, we've gotten these pieces, names or have power, and we've continuously had this motif, put in front of us.
Yeah.
So this is even, and now you have it from an ancient story, so it's lending even more credibility to it. Well, much more because of what ends up happening here.
Yeah, and he's like, he tells him he should chase the wind, Jack says, you said you used to chase the wind. Did you ever catch it? And he's like, in some ways, yes, and in other ways, no. There are many ways of looking at that question, you see. And so, it's the way I kind of interpret that is like, it's, you can gain mastery over these things, learning the name, but you can't like permanently maintain it. If you call the wind, you can control the wind in that moment, but eventually you got to let that fucking power go. It's not like you're just walking around and just immediately, anytime you want, you just make the wind, do anything you want at any split second. It's something that you can access and gain control of, but it's not like you're just walking around with this power now, kind of like an X-Men type of force. It's different than that.
It seems like something you can channel, guide, right? You can participate in, but you don't hold it. You don't.
Yeah, you can access the power, but it's not like at your fingertips at all moments.
Yeah.
Like it seems like you gotta kind of like sink into yourself and like access it. It's a little bit different.
From what it seems, if you look at how Kavoth is able to get to it, you got to be, bipolar, pretty stressful life.
Yeah.
It seems to give you more access.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little nuts, but that's how he gets there.
Yeah. And so, and then you get the great line. He's like, ask him, could you help me catch the moon? He's like, yeah, I might be able to, but first you should, think this over, boy. When you love something, you have to make sure it loves you back, or you'll bring about no end of trouble chasing it. Hespa didn't look at Dedan as she said this. She looked everywhere in the world but at him, because of this, she didn't see the stricken, helpless look on his face. So it's also very similar to Kavoth's trajectory with Denna, and Denna's trajectory with Kavoth. They're both kind of in that same pattern with each other.
Yeah, that's a cool little way in like a couple sentences to further emphasize. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and he offers also to teach him naming, teach him how to do what he does as far as listening and gaining access to the power of naming. And he's asked him how long it's going to take. Tells him it'll take him a couple of years, give or take. And the kid's too long. He's like, if I can catch her, I can talk with her, and I can make. Well, that's part of your problem right there, the old man said. You don't really want to catch her. Not really. Will you trail her through the sky? Of course not. You want to meet her. That means you need the moon to come to you. That's where I think he sounds like the cath in that moment. Where he's like, I could teach you things. You just got to stay with me. And then when he's like, well, I want to get the fuck out of here. He's like, no, you're doing it wrong. What you really need to do if you want to catch the moon is you got to get her to come to you. And it's not, the story is not of the hermit manipulating him, but you could see where like the manipulation could be turned into this.
Yeah. It's the sly guidance of the cath, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't read as manipulation when he's doing what he's doing, which is why he's so dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and if you didn't know it was a malevolent force and you're just hearing the story, you're not thinking that what he's doing, there's an agenda behind it, or he's trying to guide you down a certain path. You just think, oh, he's the helpful hermit in the woods. And he's there to help him accomplish his task.
He offers a few times to teach him listening.
Yeah.
A number of times, and he just keeps turning him down. And he's like, oh, it does wonders, and you can understand her to the bottoms of her feet, and it keeps insinuating, or keeps just actually stating it. And he's just, he's not patient, and he's a bit of a swagger cock, this guy. Yeah. This Jax.
Yeah, and so he has him look at the third pack, and I like the fact that he's like, this knot, says you tore at it, prickled it with a knife, bit it with your teeth. Jax was surprised. I did, he admitted. I told you, I tried everything to get it open. Hardly everything, the hermit said scornfully. He lifted the pack until the knotted cord was in front of his face. Terribly sorry, he said, but would you open up? He paused. Yes, I apologize. He won't do it again. He has a conversation with the knot. Now, this could be taken as like just complete storybook nonsense, but there is a sense where they would have this power in naming. If you're a very powerful namer, that you would have access to this ability. But then there's also the aspect of the story where Ajax in this story doesn't have the power of naming until he goes and talks to Moon. Then all of a sudden he has the power. He can name her. But he's in Scarpy's story. He's one of the most powerful namers in the world. So that's kind of where not all of this story is 100% accurate, because Ajax was not some just kid wandering the roads. He was a powerful namer in his own right. So it's not exactly accurate, but it's playing on some of the themes of his story, I think, is what it's doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, and I guess, like you said, themes. Thematically, he's a person who's scorned, a person who's unhappy, a person who can't find happiness, who's searching for happiness wherever he can find it, right?
Yeah, and so I think like the basic story is that Ajax was not happy, was not satisfied. He wanted to change things, so he creates the Fae. He's still not happy. He goes to the cath. The cath convinced, maybe he goes to the cath first, and the cath sent him down a path that would eventually lead to him creating the Fae and stealing the moon, or he created the Fae, then went to the cath, and the cath talked him into stealing the moon. It doesn't have to be like that. Everything happens in order, is the same way as the story. But I think that's the basic gist of Ajax's story, is the unhappiness. And then, does he literally steal the moon, or did he like steal someone's wife or something like that? What if it's, the story is that Lanre and Lyra, like he stole Lyra from Lanre or something along those lines.
I was gonna say, I mean, when you were describing like the basically the plot points, sounds a lot like Lanre, right? I mean, in terms of the trajectory, what happens, where he goes along the way, the unhappiness, the frustration, what he's searching for is all just trying to get back what he once had. You know, not that that's what Ajax is necessarily doing, but yeah,
there also has to be something to do with the physical moon, because the moon does change. It's the moon, the orbit of the moon, or like where the moon goes, is different now. It goes into the Fae where it used not to. So he did some aspect of that. He did literally steal the moon. So it's a weird story. Like, we don't know exactly what's going on, but I think there's aspects of it that are, you know, that you could take that are literally true, and then other aspects of it is just how they interpret his story. It's just the telephone game, and not only the telephone game, but it's the, you know, you can't, too much truth ruins the story. So they got to fucking tell a fantastical tale, because otherwise, it's not believed at all.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's a really cool image and overall takeaway to put within a story, with everything else that's involved. Explains the waxing and waning of the moon, which we all see throughout our entire lives. Pretty badass thing to be able to throw into a story, period.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then we get 3 unique gifts. Like, he gets the, he's like, the hermit shook his head. Can't you hear them? Most things whisper. These things shout. He pointed at the piece of crooked wood. That is a folding house, unless I missed my guess. Quite a nice one, too. And so that's what eventually becomes the Fae. He starts to open it up. The guy's like, dude, what are you doing? Don't open this shit up in front of my place. And then, like, he gets the flute and he blows on that, and it's a Will's widow, and it calls these, is also called a night jar. So it isn't out when the sun is shining. Despite this, a dozen night jars flew down and landed all around Jax, looking at him curiously and blinking in the bright sunlight. Seems to be more than the usual flute. So it's something that calls things to it. It's different. It's a magical item. And so is the creation of the Fae is magic. And then the box. This, I think, ties him to the Lackless family significantly. That's, one of the aspects of why I think he's like the OG Lackless, is because I think the box that they describe here is the Lackless box. So it's either they inherited it, it's part of their heritage because he is the OG Lackless, or they took it from him, or they found it, something along those lines. But it sounds like it, the way they describe it, it's like an inheritance.
Even Ajax, well, I mean, it's maybe somewhat simple, but even the name Ajax and Lackless, there's a bit of an overlapping or a complementary sort of nature to it. But yeah, I think that ties in quite nicely because of the unluckiness, right? The of the history of their family.
Yeah, and I mean, but that box, I mean, it is almost certainly describing the Lackless box. There's no other box like it, and that he uses it to like capture the moon's name, and it's a box that's not meant to be opened. Like, that's the fucking Lackless box. That's what's being described here. It's very, as clear as it's going to be in a story like this. But that's definitely what it is. There's nothing else in the story that it would be.
The description is it's like hauntingly interesting. It's the emptiest thing I've ever heard. It echoes. It's meant for keeping things inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And he's like, all boxes are meant for keeping things inside. He's like, and all flutes are meant to play beguiling music, the old man pointed out. But this flute is more so. The same is true with this box. And then we get, are you sure you won't consider staying for a month or two? The old man said. You could learn to listen just a bit more closely. A useful thing, listening. you've given me some things to think about, Jack said, and I think you're right. I shouldn't be chasing the moon. I should make the moon come to me. That's not what I actually said, the old man murmured, but he did so in a resigned way. Skilled listener that he was, he knew he wasn't being heard. So both of those things sound like the Cathay. Trying to convince him to stay a little longer. It's what he does with Kavo as well. See the same thing. He's tries to keep him staying, keep him talking, tell him more, get more information from him, talk. And the more he talks, the more questions Kavoth asks, the more control he has over Kavoth at that point. So he tries to keep him there. And then also the fact that when he's walking off and he's like, that's not what I said, but it was in a resigned way, it's because he literally knows that he's not listening and he's not taking him at the actual words that he said, that he's doing his own thing. It's because he knows what he's going to do. He knows all possible futures. So both of those things sound very much like the Cathay.
So he's already accomplished his task, and now he's resigned.
Yeah.
Yeah, or he has no reason to fucking talk anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, he wants to keep him there more, because the more he talks, the more destruction he can cause. But yeah, but he's resigned that he did what he could do. It was as much as he could do, because he knows that's the most he could do. There was nothing more he could have done, because if there was more he could have did, then he would have said those words. But yeah, and then you get Jax brought out the crooked piece of wood and piece by piece began to unfold the house. With the whole night in front of him, he was hoping to have it finished well before the moon began to rise. And so you get that a number of things where this is obviously the creation of the Fae. The house is much bigger than he guessed, more than a mansion, more a mansion than a simple cottage. Once more, unfolding it was more complicated than he had expected. By the time the moon reached the top of the sky, he was still far from finish. And then he's like, perhaps Jax began to hurry because of this. Perhaps he was reckless, or perhaps it was just Jax unlucky as ever. In the end, the result was the same. The mansion was magnificent, huge and sprawling, but it didn't fit together properly. There were stairways that led sideways instead of up. Some rooms had too few walls, or too many. Many rooms had no ceiling, and high above they showed a strange sky full of unfamiliar stars. Very much like the Fae, especially the unfamiliar stars. The Fae has different stars. Same moon, different stars though.
Yeah, and then also just how you continue to walk in the Fae, and it becomes a different day.
Yeah,
right. And it's not like a timeline. It's the different days over there.
Yeah, and it stays that way. Like it's always night where it's night, and it's always day where it's day. It doesn't change. The only thing changes is where you go. You can walk to the light, or you can walk to the darkness, but it never changes in those areas. Yeah, and so and then you had like the part where he's like, in one room you could look out the window at the springtime flowers, while across the hall windows were filled with winter's frost. It could be time for breakfast in the ballroom, while twilight filled a nearby bedroom. Just, very similar to the Fae. And then also you get, because nothing in the house was true, none of the doors or windows fit tight. They could be closed, even locked, but never made fast. And so as big as it was, the mansion had a great many doors and windows, so there were a great many ways both in and out, which is like the Greystones.
Yeah. Yeah. And people slipping into the Fae.
Yeah. So it's,
as we read about,
it's surely an allegory to the creation of the Fae is what we're getting described here. But then, so he plays his music and gets the moon to come down to him. It's like the moon came down to the tower, pale and round and beautiful. She stood before Jax in all her glory, and for the first time in his life, he felt a single breath of joy. But then, she looked to leave, and he's like, hey, look, I've given you 3 things. It's like, give me 3 things. And she says,
3s.
Yeah, 3s are 3s and 7s. Yeah, and he's like, I've given you 3 things, a song, a home, and my heart. If you must go, will you not give me 3 things in return? So he gets, take my hand and give me a kiss. And then the third thing, I love this part where he's like, What is the third thing? The moon asked. Her eyes were dark and wise. Her smile was full and knowing. Your name, Jack breathed, that I might call you by it. One body, the moon began, stepping forward eagerly, then paused. Only my name? She asked, sliding her hand around her waist. She was ready to do the damn thing.
Yep, she was.
To give up that booty.
She was not only ready, she was willing. Yeah, 100%.
And a little disappointed that he asked for her name instead of that burial.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that was funny. I completely forgot about that delivery.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, Jax nodded. She leaned close and spoke warmly against his ear. Ludus. And Jax brought out the black iron box, closing the lid and catching her name inside. Now I have your name, he said firmly. So I have mastery over you. And I say you must stay with me forever, so I can be happy. So it was. The box was no longer cold in his hand, and it was warm, and inside he felt her name, fluttering like a moth against a window pane. Perhaps Jax had been too slow in closing the box, perhaps he fumbled with the clasp, or perhaps he was just unlucky in all things, but in the end he only managed to catch a piece of the moon's name, not the entire. So Jax could keep her for a while, but she always slips away from him, out from his broken mansion, back to our world. But still, he has a piece of her name, so she always must return. And so, that's obviously the story of the moon going between their world and the Fae, and that's basically the story of the beginning of the creation war, the old Cobb version of that story.
The old Cobb version. It's obviously it's pretty great. There was one thing I wanted to mention that really reminded me of Kavo when he plays his song. And they say, or it is described as, he poured out a sweet song into the clear night sky. No simple bird trill. This was a song that came from his broken heart. It was strong and sad. It fluttered like a bird with a broken wing. It just reminded me of Kavoth when he comes out of Tarbeen and plays.
Yeah, it sounds magical. It sounds like the flute either gives him magical ability or, his playing of music is magical, like one of the two. But yeah, they're definitely. Rothfuss has said there's magic music, and that seems to be one of those cases, a description of magical music. And that the way she describes it with the birds, like those birds don't come out during the day, and they came out during the day when he played. They were drawn to it.
And clearly it worked. That's the other thing. She came. Right. And
yeah.
She almost came more than one way. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so funny too, man. Like that was such a great payoff, which I completely forgot about.
Yeah. It's like, all right, got my hand. Oh, you want to kiss? I know where this is going. Here's your kiss. Like, what's your third thing? She starts taking off her clothes. Like she's got breakaway pants on. She fucking pops them off, and then she's standing there, and he's like, your name. Oh, shy overshot.
I gotta button these all back on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Like, whoa, what are you doing? Put your clothes back on, you fucking freak.
Not only that, only my name. Sliding her hand around his waist. She was even still going at it. She was ready. And
I would have screamed my name.
Yeah. But yeah, essentially the moment he becomes the villain.
Yep, that's the beginning of the creation war. And I like the fact that you get this story and you have no inclination that there's anything more to it than what is there. Like you haven't met the cath. He hasn't talked about the cath. Yeah. You don't know anything about it. So you wouldn't know to suspect the cath. You don't know about what started the creation war. You don't know that, before Iax stole the moon, there was a chance for peace. Like that. You haven't heard that line from Valerian yet. And so you don't know much about the importance of this story until you go through the entire first two books, and then you go back through, and the story has more significance.
I mean, is there anything to Ludus, by the way?
I don't know, other than, that, like, the lunar and those kind of things are, it's a very Greek mythology type of moon name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there'll be something to it in the third book, but there's so much in there that there's a lot of things that seem like clues to something, but it's like we need the third book to know what those are clues to. Is some of them it's just like, yes, definitely a clue, but a clue to what?
Well, it's one of those things that I knew clearly couldn't have had a huge connection because it's like I forgot this name altogether.
Yeah,
I didn't remember it at all. So clearly, it wasn't a clear connection to something that has been revealed in the first 2 books, or I would have surely remembered it. I love the image of like he traps her name, has mastery over her, and like her name as a moth against a window pane. It's pretty tremendous imagery.
What it shows is that all the girls are an aspect of the moon, because Ari has a U in her name, Ludus has a U, and Denna has a D, Ludus has a D, Devi has a D, Ludus has a D. Devi also has an I.
Oh.
Ludus has an I. Ari has an I. Ludus has an I.
Mola, there's an L.
Yep. Mola.
Fella. There's an L.
Yep.
I don't see an S.
Simon.
So you said you started with this were all girls. What happened?
Yeah.
Happened to your theory there?
Will calls him when he when they're getting drinks that one time, and Sim ordered drink.
Oh,
Will was
that's
like,
right.
girl.
Yeah.
2 girls.
That does happen.
No.
So yeah, you can really shove that in there and
Yeah.
your theory there.
So combine Simon with all the other women, and you got Ludus. So they're all just aspects of the moon.
I mean, I would have accepted. I'm not really sure, and
But I figured it out though.
Oh well. Glad I was here for that.
Yeah. So there you go. Solve that puzzle. And if Rothfuss hasn't thought of that, you can take that and use that, because that is just gold right there. That would be something everybody would be very satisfied with as an answer.
Man.
That all the other characters are just aspects of the moon for some reason.
All of them now.
Yeah.
I don't know where a Loden fits in. I mean, load.
Yep.
There you go, I guess.
Ludus, Elodin. Except for Rothfuss says it wrong. He says Eladin, so he probably won't go that path because he says it so stupidly.
Yeah, I don't like Eladin. Doesn't work for me.
No, it's a terrible name for Elodin. But yeah, and then so what do we got next week? We'll get the fight with the bandits.
No, I guess you kind of mentioned. Well, we sort of alluded to it, but yeah, it kind of closes with Hespe. Well, they basically end. The back and forth is like Dedan really compliments the story. It's kind of endearing. The two of them are kind of both endearing in a way to one another about her story and how she should tell it to her daughters. Blah blah blah, and then that peaceful evening was like a lull that comes in the center of a storm, because the next day Hespe fucking says something that sets off Dedan.
Yeah, it almost seems like his because he knows he's not going to have a happy ending for Kavoth and Denna. He's like, well, here you guys go. Here's the star-crossed lovers who miss each other's signals and can't seem to get it, but they eventually do get it. So there it is for you. Put it in the story. It's just not the 2 characters you want.
Well, and so, but I mean, they go back to being pissed, and then Dedan and Martin are pissed at each other, and then I do like Hespe's fucking shrieks while she's bathing because Tempe walks up butt naked.
Yeah. Dedan. It's like, didn't know what to do because he didn't know how to wrestle a fucking naked dude.
Without looking in his direction or actually touching him. Which, by the way, I mean, we talked about fights quite a bit this episode.
Yeah, that would end a fight with me.
Yeah,
if the dude like stripped down naked, it'd be like, I'm not fighting this dude. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with him. Who fights naked?
There you go. Next time, someone that's listening, next time you're in, in a situation where it starts getting heated and you think it might get into fisticuffs, if you're not wanting to do it, strip down butt naked.
Yep,
that will change the scene.
A good way, or the dude's gonna start kicking you and doing things to keep you at a distance.
I guess that's somewhat of a solution. Yeah, just that's pretty funny.
But that's all I got on that chapter.
Yeah. So, and you said they get in with the mercenaries pretty quick, huh? Or I mean the bandits.
Yeah, from here that's what it is. We get it ends with the rain comes in, and then the next aspect of it is the fire going out and that kind of stuff, and the Tempe coming up to him and telling him that he killed a couple bandits, and then they go after him.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because the chapter sort of ends. I mean, definitely ends on a sour note because nobody's getting along. And even what reads to us, or at least reads to me, is pretty funny. Tempe coming in naked, and then Daydan wanting to fight him but can't because he's freaking naked. It's not funny to them. It doesn't become laughter, right?
No.
They're all still at each other's throats. Then it starts to rain. It's like, yeah, it ends in pretty bummer territory for the group.
Yeah, they needed the bandits to show up when they did because they were not in a good place with each other.
I mean that, or Kavo pulls out that loot and start banging out some Guns N' Roses and turns those frowns upside down.
Yeah, just need to play Paradise City, man. That solves all problems.
All problem.
Welcome to the jungle.
We got fun and games.
It says it in the name. How can you be unhappy when you got fun and games? And they're in kind of a jungle. It's a forest. Very similar.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a jungle and a forest? Humidity?
Yeah, probably a big part of it. I feel like a lot of water. Jungle feels like there has to be like sitting water, but actually I don't know. I mean, guess maybe humidity. It's a good question.
Well, listeners, you guys go ahead and figure that out for us, and then we will be back next week with the big ass bandit fight. It's a extremely fucking dope section of the books.
Yeah, really great shit.
All right,
looking forward.
Peace out.
Yep.